else. You have created the market. Hence it is easier. Anybody has a counter argument for that?
Publishing the identification should be easier because you're dealing with a problem that's already been there. You're not coming up with a whole entire new product. That creating a whole product will take a lot more time and energy.
Very good. So, yeah.
When you create an opportunity, then you have to come up with a reason for why people will need it, and you have to convince people that they need this new product. And when you're identifying a problem, and everyone knows that there's a reason already. There's already a reason why they need this product. So then they'll want your product in order to show that it's better.
Exactly. I'm sorry. All that you need to show is it is better.
Yeah.
Very good point. So, one positive thing about marketing products or services that are created new is that if you are like unique thing, you can, there's no competition. But on the other side, the points that came from this side shows that it is actually hard because you are educating your customers. Apple can afford to do that. Whatever Steve Jobs says or said is everybody is looking for to talk about it. Okay, they created so much of hype. They created so much of marketing army which is invisible to take forward all the Apple products. But for example, a small company, obviously when you start your own with this Apple, like you're going to be somebody who is not known to anybody, right? Now you create something new where that need is not very clear. Our need is not known to everybody. Then you need to educate people. Educate, create that hole in the soul. And it is very hard to create that hole. On one side, there is a unique position that you are in, easy to sell. If people feel the need. On the other side, you have to spend so much of time, money, effort in educating people about the need of that product. What is the threat? What is, okay, let's assume that you created a cool gadget. Okay? So, for example, you created, let's come up with an idea right now. What is the cool gadget that you think is, going to be the next generation electronic gadget that is going to change something? Glasses. Okay. Say like Google glasses. Let's create some other glasses that would say whenever you want to see movies, you actually switch on something, you see the movie, right? Something of that. Of course, not everybody can create it. Let's assume you created a gadget like that. Now, how do you market it? You actually spend a lot of time. You actually convince investors that it's going to be the very cool thing, next thing, going to change the world and so on. And you put all your effort in marketing. Being a small company, it's very important where to spend that every dollar, every rupee, or every minute that you have. That is, it has to be a wise investment. So let's say you create that high marketing about your product. And then that process, say you compromise or you didn't really particularly care so much about the quality of your product. It's good product, but perhaps it still has certain problems. Right? Now, I suddenly am another person, I'm Samsung. Okay? Now I saw there's a small company in Hyderabad that created this cool gadget. Okay, it looks promising and many people are talking about it. Everybody in India seems to be knowing about it. So now I have huge money, right? As Samsung, I have a lot of money. And I have smart engineers. Now I create a better product and spend 200 crores on advertising that. So what is going to be the future of your gadget?
Well, where does the patents and all of that?
Very good. Very good. So there is something called entry barriers. So when you create something, a product, you need to ensure that others cannot copy it easily. Okay? So no matter what is the product? One is you need to have the technology that is not easy to create for others. Second thing is, after developing the technology, spending a lot of research hours, a lot of product development hours on those creation of that product, the next thing that you would like to do is protect that technology that you have created. So protecting the technology means like you need to do the patenting, you need to file patents. Okay? Then patenting is very expensive affair. Obviously, if you just do it in India, it's not sufficient because people in Korea can copy it and market it all over the world. Right? So you need to have a mechanism by which you are protecting that in the entire world. So you need to patent in US, patent in European countries, patent in Asia Pacific, many places. So each one of them will actually cost lots of money. And then one thing is for sure that patenting helps. You should certainly patent your IP, intellectual property, but that's not sufficient. You should make it sufficiently hard for others to copy it. Okay? And then actually have that advantage of creating it or being in the race. You are leading the technology creation race. Okay? In that race, you have to make sure that you are ahead by at least 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, depending on the kind of category that you are in. By which, what happens is, they are trying to compete with you, you are running ahead, and at the same time, who is the best in that market segment? That's what matters. If you are, for example, Facebook may not be the first social media platform, okay, but they have come later, but they have created such a better product, they have overtook everybody else. Whereas Apple, though they are the first ones to create digital music or the first ones to create iPad and so on and so forth, tablet, they are still leading because they are always, you know how hard everybody is trying to catch up, including Google. Okay, in creating technology for better tablets and so on. But still iPad has close to 30 to 40% of market share. Maybe 55 is earlier, but it's actually falling, but it's still the number one. Okay, iPad is still the number one. So they were in the creation 100% market share, then 70, 80 for a long time, 50 so on for a long time. They are about 35 to 40 now, but still that is their number one. After so many years, okay. Now see, when the entire sales is million pieces, 100% market share is great. Okay. But if you have 100 million pieces tablets are being sold, and having 35% of it is even better. It's not any less. Right? So as the market segment is growing and you are still number one, though you don't have 100% of market share, still it is a great news. Right? So that lead is something that you need to maintain. Right?
When you you're competing with people like Samsung, right? Obviously you don't have the finances or something to do with a giant like that.
Right.
So would it be a better option to in fact combine forces somehow? Make sure that you get a certain percentage, give your idea to them and stuff like that.
So this is again, this question came in the last discussion, right? When do you sell your companies? When do you get merged? When do you get acquired? You get acquired only if there is 1 plus 1 equal to 2. Then it does not make much sense, right? But if 1 plus 1 becomes 4, then it makes best possible, sense to acquire companies, to merge companies and so on. So there are so many debates about why Microsoft bought Nokia. Many people are unhappy about it, but people, the marketing or the strategists say it's actually a great move. It's a great move for both Nokia as well as Microsoft. Individually, whatever they can accomplish, okay, let's assume that that value is some X. But by merging these two and then aligning their forces, their strengths, if they are able to achieve 4x of the effect, then it is better to acquire those companies. Typically, if Nokia's value is, say, any acquired company's value is market share, or market value is some, say, $1 billion. People who acquire them, they don't just pay $1 billion, they pay $2 billion. Because they see the potential of acquiring that $2 billion worth will actually impact in creating $4 billion of value for the acquirer. So this is very important to keep in mind. All these things go hand in hand. All these things go hand in hand. So that's the reason it makes sense sometimes to get your company acquired or sell your company to some other company or merge forces or even just give patent. Another good thing that you need to learn about Nokia Microsoft merger is the intellectual property that we've been talking about. Nokia holds a bank of patents on many of the advanced technologies, okay, including near-field communication, 4G, many of these advanced technologies of mobile computing. Nokia holds a lot of patents. Now, remember, Nokia didn't give all these patents to Microsoft. Nokia licensed their patents to Microsoft for 10 years. Okay? Microsoft can use whatever these patents and then actually create better gadgets and services and so on. But then, now Nokia is the real owner of these patents. That is much more valuable than the, say, Lumia series or any of the gadgets that they are kind of producing. So in that context, now Nokia can also technically license it to Samsung, license it to Google, license it to many other people, and actually make more money than using their patents to create their own phones. So far they created all these patents in the process of making their own phones. Now by just using their patent, they don't have to do any new work. Sitting on their patents, by licensing it to various companies, they can perhaps make more money than what they would make with by creation of new series of phones. Right? So that's the difference. That's how the technology or the patent creation of intellectual property will help all the companies. Right? So now let's come back to our topic of opportunity creation and opportunity identification. So we talked about when we have created a new opportunity, we have to protect our intellectual property. We need to protect the technology that we have created, so on and so forth. Now, so that will actually create entry barriers for others. So we are also trying to connect that with marketing, right? So we talked about the both positive things as well as the negative things about marketing, opportunities that are created and opportunities that are identified. Okay? Nothing is easy. Every problem has its own difficulty. Okay? Every company has its own difficulty. So it's very hard to say this is better, this is not. It all depends on what you are dealing with and how smartly you are handling each one of those opportunities that you have identified and created and transforming them into companies. Now, what are other key takeaways from the previous meeting or the previous session? So let's talk about various aspects of marketing. Marketing is a broad umbrella. So marketing is a vehicle that will help you make sales. That is clear, right? Great marketing will result in creation of great sales. That is clear? Now let's look at the various aspects of marketing. So remember, from branding to everything else, public relations. So branding to public relations is marketing. So let's talk about it a little bit. So what is branding? What is a brand?
Branding is making a product unique.
Product?
Unique.
Sorry.
Making it unique
Making it unique.
and different from others.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah.
Basically, giving a name to a product so it stands out in the market.
So making it unique. Okay.
It's a name which everybody identifies with.
So identifying the name with the specific thing that you want to market the product that you are creating. Okay.
It's not just giving a name or something, it's also the way you package your product, that's also a kind of marketing, branding.
Mhm.
Like Coke, package this product differently than Pepsi.
Right.
So that's branding.
So
Does branding always have to be with the product?
No, it can be service too.
Product or service, that's it. And branding is the company. You start a brand or a product.
yeah. Which one? Tata is a brand. Perfect. So brand of what? A company or a product or a phenomenon? Huh?
The company that
Tata company. Okay, let me put it different. What is Kareena Kapoor? An actress. Airtel chose Kareena Kapoor to advertise about their products and services. And then water purifiers companies, they chose Hemamali to as their brand ambassador. Right? And then flying machine chose Virat Kohli as their brand ambassador. And so you now see why certain people are chosen for certain kinds of products and services because of the image that these people carry. Okay. Now, can you expect? Not able to recollect the right name, but maybe say Hansika Motwani or Anushka as a TyE Pepsi ambassador? Perhaps not. Right? You typically choose somebody which is size 0 actress to do that. So there is an image, there is a brand that is associated with each person also. I mean, the celebrities. So Anna Hazare is a great brand. The moment somebody wants to talk about, removing the corruption, then they have Anna Hazare's photo, okay, his image on their banners. So he's saying something, right? So that's you are communicating that you are for fighting the corruption by putting that picture of Anna Hazare on your posters. For example, Mother Teresa is a brand, Mahatma Gandhi is a brand, Sachin Tendulkar is a brand. Similarly, all the products, companies, so on and so forth. So, by saying all of this, we clearly know that there is uniqueness about this brand. People are able to associate with that brand with certain things, certain values, certain the kind of quality, so on and so forth. So ideally your brand should reflect your quality, your image, your uniqueness, so on and so forth. So after branding, what is branding here? The example that we have shown, Super Circus, that is the brand. It's not any circus, it is Super Circus. So in that name itself, there is an adjective that says it is going to be not a normal one, it is going to be a good one. It's going to be super. So in the name itself, you are creating something that is very unique. Right? So what is the next one? Okay, what is the next step that you would do? You would actually create a flexi, or you create some kind of a poster, banner, and then place it. So that is advertising. So what are we advertising here? The circus. But you make sure that you create a Super Circus in a very different font. Make sure that it is very attractive. You are branding and advertising at the same time. So branding goes hand in hand with advertising. Right? And then you keep it at various places. You are advertising more and more. So that costs money. Now the next one is making it unique, very, very unique. So what it, in the example they did? Elephant. So associating your brand, what you want to achieve, with something that is very related, very unique. Not many advertisements go on elephants. So by keeping this advertisement on an elephant, taking it around, is, what is this activity called? Promotion. Right. So now you are promoting it very well. So again, remember, your branding is increasing, your advertising is increasing during your promotion activity. Your branding didn't stop. All these aspects are helping each other. Now what is the third activity? Publicity. So what is the example that we see here? Mahesh Babu taking the elephant with that advertisement around KBR Park. So that is, now the moment you create these opportunities, these are public relations. How are you doing it? By making Mahesh Babu go around with an elephant near KBR Park, you don't have to do much. All that you need to do is give a tip to all the press people, media. Everybody will come take pictures, and then they'll write about all this in all the newspapers next day. Okay? So the Super Circus brand that you have created, you're getting great advertisement, you're getting great promotion, publicity, all of this. Okay? So again, planning all of this in sequence and what should happen then. Now, if all of that happens in a day, is that effective? No. Because the buzz after all this activity will be dead after 7 days. Nobody talks about Mahesh Babu taking it around, the elephant around for more than 1 week. So you won't do that everything in 1 week. So you might actually create an advertisement, keep it in a few places for a month. Then you have some people, your circus will only accommodate 1,000 people a day, not more than that. So advertisement will bring 1,000 people a day for some time. If that is not bringing 1,000 people, you are only getting 500 people, then you increase your advertisement. Okay? So that you will fill your shows. Then, when you do the promotion or publicity, after 2 months or 1 month, 15 days, in regular intervals, people will constantly be coming to your circus. Right? When it is really fading away, you don't want the buzz to fade away. That is the purpose of doing all these activities. So finally when you get it done, then you will have continuous success because constantly you are having a lot of people coming in. So that is the marketing aspect that we have learned today. Right? So now we are ready for the next session. So I request Murali Katala to introduce the speaker.
Thanks, Mr. Verma. We have our next speaker of the day. He is Mr. Vikram Vuppala. He is a founder for this company called Nephro Plus. They're very focused on helping dialysis and making it easier. He's here to share his experience and also talk about marketing and how it helps them position where they are right now. Right? Vikram, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm actually not feeling well at all. Since the last couple of days I've been down with cold and cough, and I actually asked my wife to drive me here because I had committed to coming here. I thought I shouldn't bail out at the last minute. So firstly, because of the extreme cold, my ears are completely blocked. So you may have to ask your questions in a very loud voice. So bear with me on that. And secondly, I'm dressed very, very informally. Usually I dress in formal wear, but today I just couldn't do it. And I thought teenagers wouldn't mind me being dressed in casual wear. So I thank Murali, Sangha, the TyE group for inviting me here. And in fact, TyE has made a very large impact on me and my company called Nephro Plus. One of the advisory board members was the president of TyE. So I owe a lot to TyE, and I met fantastic people at TyE. So when Sangha and Murali asked me to come here, I said, as long as it's a non-working day, I'm fine. So I'm glad that you guys could make it on a Sunday. I wanted to introduce myself and Nephro Plus first. My name is Vikram Vuppala. I'm the founder and CEO of Nephro Plus, which is India's largest chain of dialysis centers. And probably you're too young to know what is dialysis, but roughly speaking, people whose both kidneys have failed. Kidneys in every human body, there are two kidneys, and they purify blood and they sort of take out the toxic materials, and then they help you continue to lead a normal life. So for people whose both kidneys have failed, they need to either get a transplant or dialysis, which is an artificial purification of blood. It's too technical for you guys, but roughly speaking, it's a healthcare service. It's not a product, and we do dialysis in our centers, which is we have few of our own centers, and we have many centers set up inside hospitals as well. So roughly, Nephro Plus is a chain of dialysis centers. Coming to my background, I'm an IIT Kharagpur graduate. I graduated with chemical engineering degree. I didn't like chemical engineering at all, so I did my master's in computer science from University of Illinois. Didn't like computer science at all, and ended up, because I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I knew that I needed some business skills training. So I joined as a business analyst at a very reputed sales and marketing consulting firm called ZS Associates in Chicago. So I did my master's at University of Illinois, Chicago, and I found that a couple of my IIT coaching center friends were joining ZS. So I was curious what is ZS and ended up as a business analyst. After 2 years as a business analyst, I got very comfortable with analytical models, Excel, everything, and one of my partners moved on to a pharmaceutical company called Abbott. If you guys have heard of Pediasure or Similac or whatever, these are all Abbott products. So me and partner Tony Russo, we started a internal consulting group at Abbott and grew it to a team size of 25 people. And then I did my MBA from University of Chicago Booth School of Business. If you guys have heard about Raghuram Rajan, the new RBI governor, he used to teach there, Chicago Booth. Fantastic MBA, loved it. I was very focused on entrepreneurship, so My majors were in entrepreneurship and finance. Finance because I had no clue about finance. I had a lot of understanding of sales, marketing, but I was really dumb in finance. So I thought if I go to Chicago, I will definitely pick up a lot of concepts in finance. So after that, I wanted to start my company, but I had raised up a tuition loan of $100,000 by going to Chicago. So I knew that I had to work for a couple of years to pay off the tuition loan. I come from a very middle class background, and my parents were not rich to pay off the $100,000 loan. So I worked at McKinsey and Company, which is one of the world's largest or most reputed strategy consulting firm, and primarily focused on healthcare. And in 2009 August, I said enough is enough. If I don't start my company right now, it's never going to happen. So I cut the cord. Me and my wife, we relocated back to India from US, and I came to India with 4 healthcare ideas, and I started traveling around the country, talking to various entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, in simple terms, investors, and talked to various hospital owners. And in this process, I met an amazing guy called Kamal, who is a resident of Hyderabad, who has been on dialysis for 13 years at that time. So Kamal is one of the amazing human beings I met, who, in spite of all the kidney failure and the treatment and issues, he leads an amazing positive attitude life. So in my office, there is just one poster, which is Kamal's poster. So I treat him as a role model in my life. People crib about a lot of things, in spite of having a very healthy life. But Kamal, in spite of having a very tough life on a medical condition, he leads an amazingly positive attitude life. He swims every morning at 6:30. He works full time like me, and then he travels around just like me, parties hard, but leads an amazing positive attitude life. So I was inspired by Kamal, and Kamal and I wanted to start a chain of dialysis centers. In that process, also there was an Indian School of Business graduate called Sandeep who wanted to join us, and on day one, the 3 of us, we started Vuppala, and this is my first venture. And in fact, my family is full of doctors, engineers, and the strangest occupation is a geologist. That's as far as we could go. But then, when my parents heard that I'm quitting McKinsey to start a company, they thought I've lost it. I've completely lost my mind, and they're wondering, he's only 32, is this midlife crisis? Maybe not, but what is he up to? Why is he leaving McKinsey to start a company? And I was explaining to them that entrepreneurs can actually create a lot of impact and create wealth as well in the process, but they come from a very conservative background, and for them it was lunatic, completely lunatic. Funny thing is, after we started the first couple of centers, my mom asked me, so why don't you go back to a regular job now? So their understanding of entrepreneurship is very, very different. That's just because of the economic climate we were brought up in, right? Doing a doctor or an engineer job or in the government service was the best thing that they could aspire for. In my generation, I was a rebel. I didn't care what the preset notions were, and I could, from the IIT class, I was the only guy in the entire institute who didn't do masters in the same branch they did undergraduate. I didn't care. No matter what it is, if I'm not interested, I won't do it. So, entrepreneurs are usually rebels because 95% of the people that you talk to, they'll say your idea sucks. It will never take off. And entrepreneurs have to, when I say rebel, I mean in a positive way, not the regular rebel way, but you need to have a lot of conviction in yourself. You need to sort of take the useful bits from the people who are critiquing your idea, but you need to have your own convictions. So we raised about 1 crore angel round to start our first center. We got very good feedback. We raised another round of couple of crores. We started the second one in Secunderabad, which is 10 kilometers from here. And then we started a third center about 100 kilometers from here, where that town didn't even have a single dialysis center. So we figured out how to run first one unit in Banjara Hills. Then we wanted to figure out how to run 2 units because running 1 unit versus 2 units is different ballgame in India. In India, it's a lot about execution. Ideas are cheap. Everyone can have 50 different ideas, it doesn't matter. If you execute well, that's what matters. So we figured out how to run 2 centers in the same city, and then we stretched ourselves to figure out how to run 3rd center about 100 kilometers away. In this process, a lot of private equity players, venture capitalists were interested. They knew I was from McKinsey. One of the good things I did is I joined McKinsey after MBA because a lot of investors, funds they have at least few McKinsey alums. So it was very easy for them to get in touch with me, and they knew that I was ethical, professional, and they could check off all the basic things. And there were about 5 investors who were really keen to invest in Vuppala. We decided on Vesama Venture Partners, which is a world-renowned VC firm based out of Silicon Valley in the US. We raised about $4.5 million from them, and after that we started aggressively expanding. From AP, we went into Karnataka, we went into Tamil Nadu, we went into Kerala, and then we took a leap of faith, which is how to run business in North India. So South India and North India are very different ballgames. India is a collection of 25 different countries in fact. A lot of people were saying you should be a regional player. North India is very different, people are very different and all that. So we said we'll learn. We'll of course face a lot of hardships, but we'll learn. So we went into the toughest state in India called Uttar Pradesh. I don't know if you have heard of Uttar Pradesh. Taj Mahal is located in a city called Agra. So we set up our first unit of North India in Agra. The hospital was not professional. The doctor was not professional. We had a tough time, but the great thing about entrepreneurs is the resilience. No matter how tough it becomes, entrepreneurs have a way of being resilient, and shutting down that center was never an option for me or the co-founders, right? We'll figure it out. A lot of our advisors said, why are you giving so much bandwidth to this particular location which is being difficult? We said we have to figure it out. If you want to be a pan-India player, we have to figure it out. So resilience is one of the biggest things that each of you as an entrepreneur have to very carefully look at. Just because something is getting difficult doesn't mean you fold up and look at other opportunities, right? You have to be resilient. Now, today we have 18 centers spread across 9 states, and we are exclusive service provider for a big brand called Max Hospitals in North India. It's like Apollo overall in India. It's one of the top 3 chains, and they got convinced that Vuppala can offer them best quality at a reasonable cost. So we are the largest provider, pure play provider right now, and will continue to grow. And it's been entrepreneurship, I would say, has been extremely challenging, but extremely satisfying as well. And once you it's like the tiger tasting the human blood. Once you taste the blood, you will not leave the entrepreneurship theme, because you are very, very empowered. I don't have to wait for people to take decisions. I can decide on my own. If I feel very compelled that we need to price it at a certain level, we need to partner with certain person, or we should not partner with some person, an entrepreneur can take decisions. So it's very, very rewarding that way. But I admit that it's extremely challenging in the first couple of years when you are not a big player, when you have not raised serious money. That will be very tough for any entrepreneur. And we all have to admit that 95% of the ventures fail in the first 2 to 3 years. There is a rule of thumb in the entrepreneurship world, which is if your company can survive for 7 years, you have created wealth. So the biggest point is you have to persevere. There will be a lot of challenges thrown at you, but you have to keep figuring out how to do things and persevere. So the first couple of years when a lot of companies fold, it reflects the 50% is the luck factor, right? no matter if the entrepreneur does all the right things, still the business can fail. Let's say 50% is luck factor, but the remaining 50% is totally with you. Luck is not sufficient to be successful. Luck is necessary but not sufficient. You have to do all the right things to be at the right places and work very hard in order to capitalize on the luck factor. And first 2-3 years when it's really tough, you have to be very, very strong. After 2-3 years, it becomes very easy. Now I have a management team. I had an executive assistant to the CEO role. He's a bright young kid, hardly 24 years of age. IIT Delhi graduate who can pretty much do all the analysis that I would spend time doing. So after 3-4 years, the entrepreneur's life becomes better and better. First 2-3 years is when you have to really, really be hardcore and very, very focused and resilient. Now, I'll talk a little bit about marketing, but I want this to be more interactive. If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer about entrepreneurship before we get into marketing. Yeah, sure.
Did you always know that you want to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So right in my undergrad days at IIT, I used to be the GSEC hostel, and I knew at that time that I wanted to be an entrepreneur because no one in my family has done it before. Family is full of academics and other people. And I thought entrepreneurship was very cool, and I thought entrepreneurship is the best way to challenge myself. But after IIT, I realized that I don't have the skills to become an entrepreneur. But so I went to do masters in US to get a job that would give me experience to get into a top MBA program. Chicago Booth. If you have to do an MBA at University of Chicago, you need to have solid experience for 2-3 years at a very reputed company. So for that, in order to get that job, I had to do my masters at that time. But now my IIT undergrad juniors, now they don't even waste time in masters. After undergrad, they directly go for jobs in the US. So things have changed a lot since 99. But right since my undergrad days, I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Good question.
Why Uttar Pradesh?
Mike? Yeah, go ahead.
Why Uttar Pradesh? Why did you start your career from Uttar Pradesh?
No, that was more of a, we were casting a very wide net and the opportunity came along the way. So it was not that we zoned in on Uttar Pradesh to begin with. We were looking at Delhi, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, various places, but this opportunity came along and we took it. So in entrepreneurship, you have to be very opportunistic as well. You cannot have preset rules that I'm going to do only this way. You have to be flexible, but at the same time, the theme or the guiding principles or the journey has to be towards a particular direction. But you have to be very fluid and nimble along the way.
You were presented with an opportunity to start another business. Will you take it or just stick with Metro Bus company?
So your question is, if anyone gives me other opportunity, will I take it?
Yeah, start another business.
No, I think you have to stick your way until you create a very large organization. So I wouldn't leave Metro Plus at all. There will be a lot of offers coming along your way, but you have to take the organization to a critical mass. And at that point, you can hire another CEO who can run your business, and then you can be the chairman and you can do something else. But until you hit the critical mass, probably it's another 3-4 years away. Until then, you can't leave the set. Anyone else?
How did you find out about entrepreneurship?
Good question. So, in my undergrad days, we used to have this sort of people used to take care of the administrative functions. For example, I had to take care of the hostel expenses and manage the budget as a general secretary. And my friends where like one of the guys used to be G-Set Sports, one other guy used to be G-Set Mess Kitchen. So you learn to create a process which will help you run a small organization. And then there are a lot of IIT alums. For example, there was one guy called Vuppala who had from IIT who had created a very large business called Info USA, and he had donated $20 million to IIT. So we were all dazzled. Who is this guy who donated $20 million? And we were told in the institute that this guy was an entrepreneur, first generation, and he created this humongous company called Info USA. So there were a lot of IIT alums who were donating money, and that's how you get to first get exposed that hey, entrepreneurship is a way of creating wealth. Entrepreneurship is about starting a new company which did not exist before, and then scale it up to a large organization. But I think now you guys are exposed to entrepreneurship at a very young age. So me and my wife, we were actually chatting yesterday. Until I got into undergrad, I had no clue about entrepreneurship. But you guys are so lucky that in your teenage you are getting to hear about entrepreneurship. You're getting to interact with many entrepreneurs. So I would say take risks earlier rather than later. Maximum what will happen, you will fail in your first couple of ventures, but the experience will make you much better entrepreneur for your future. Any questions?
There are many diseases which do not have a proper cure in India. So why did you choose kidney failure as the basis to provide solutions?
Good question. So I was looking only at healthcare, and I was looking at diabetes and hypertension. People with it's called BP. Hypertension is commonly referred as BP, and diabetes commonly referred as sugar. So I was looking at this ecosystem, and because of Kamal, who has been on dialysis, I was more and more attracted towards the dialysis service. But otherwise, I would have chosen eye care or some other disease as well. It's all about what you're passionate about. I was passionate about healthcare. Kamal was passionate only about dialysis. So the common intersection was dialysis. Any other questions? Okay. So, Murli asked me about marketing. I would like to make it very interactive. Otherwise, it will just be a boring monologue. So I took a couple of very basic marketing classes at University of Chicago, but having worked in the sales and marketing consulting firms, I had some exposure. Of course, you will never get in a 10-minute discussion what marketing really is, but I want to give you a... So, 4 P's are product, which I would term as product/service, price, place, promotion. So for a 10-minute discussion, I think this is a very relevant framework. From a marketing perspective, the first thing that you need to understand is what is it that you want to sell and make money, right? What is it that you want to provide, offer, and for which the customers are willing to pay. It either is a product, let's say iPad is a product, or it could either be a service. Nephro plus dialysis is a service. So it depends on what you want to create. It could be a physical product, it could be a service. Service is also, if you look at Make My Trip allows you to book flights and train tickets and accommodation at various places. Make My Trip is a service company. Apple is a products company. Hopefully you are able to distinguish between the two. Now, as the question here was why dialysis, it was purely because I was fortunate to meet Kamal. So you really need to figure out what is it that you are passionate about and figure out what product and service that you want to sell to customers. And if you are giving a service for free, you will never be able to create a company which makes money or which is valuable. You have to sell a product or a service for which the customers are willing to pay money. The first time maybe you can give a free version, but it's not sustainable. It can be like a sort of a offer to get going, but eventually any company which wants to live has to get paying customers. That's very important. So the first one is, what is the product or service that you're passionate about and you're willing to spend the next 7-8 years of your life living and breathing it. Because I need to explain Netflix Plus every single day to a different different people, right? Wherever I go, I need to talk about Netflix Plus in equally passionate manner that I talked 4 years back when I started Netflix Plus. So if this is something that you're not excited, passionate about, the energy won't sustain, you'll get bored. So figure out what you're really passionate about to figure out the product or the service that you're willing to sell. Second thing is price. Price, there are so many frameworks to figure out price. It could be the lowest cost in the market, it could be the economic value add EVA model, it could be cost basis. If I'm selling a service, if it costs me 100 rupees, do I sell it at 120 at a markup? So pricing is a completely different discipline in itself. You need to figure out what is it that the customers are willing to pay, and what to charge them upfront may be different as to what you will charge them later on. For example, in Netflix, for the first 1 week of service, we call it experience package. This package is 50% discount. We want to lower the entry barrier as much as possible. We thought, why not give it for free? But then we realized people don't appreciate free things. So we finally figured out that experience package to let people experience us, and then if they like us in the first week, dialysis, by the way, is a lifelong issue, and either you get a transplant or you get dialysis. So this is a way of short-term 1 week hit compared to an average 18 months value that you can capture from the dialysis patient. So you need to figure out what pricing makes sense for you. If it's a product, completely different discipline. If it's a service, completely different discipline. It depends a lot on your strategy. Do you want to undercut the entrenched players in the market and then take it from there? Do you want to be provocative and say, hey, for example, what Apple did it, right? They priced it much higher but focused on the niche market. So it depends on what your company strategy is. Pricing, it will take few days to talk about pricing, but essentially it's a great tool to communicate the value of your product or service, and you need to figure out what is the right pricing today and what is the right pricing tomorrow. So it's a highly complicated subject, but I will be happy to answer any questions. Any questions on these two things so far? I know I'm giving a 10,000 foot level summary, but honestly it's not feasible to teach marketing in a half an hour class. It's impossible. But I'm just giving you a high level framework. Anyone has any questions? Okay. The third thing is place. So every business, right? If you look at especially restaurant business, the biggest success factor for a restaurant business is the place, is the location. Assuming that food is good, assuming that ambience is good, all those things given. For the restaurant business, the location is the number one determinant whether the restaurant will be successful or not. So place where you want to sell, how you want to sell, what channels you use to sell. For example, we partner with hospitals to do dialysis services. We started out as individual Vuppala centers, but then we realized there's a great channel wherein we can partner with hospitals where the patients are more comfortable, and we offer dialysis services there. So we are flexible enough to understand that it's okay to go to a different channel, go to a different place which is in a hospital setting, and still offer Vuppala branded, Vuppala quality service offering. So place is where you want to do business and what channels you want to use to do your business. Promotion. So a lot of people associate marketing with advertising. advertising is one of the 10 different things in marketing. Advertising does not equate to marketing. So promotion, it depends on, for example, the ads that you do in newspapers, TV, whatnot. It depends on flyers that you do and put in newspaper insert. It depends on bus shelter ads. When you're going back home, look at all the bus shelters. They'll all have the banners advertising the company's product. It depends on the outbound telesales. I'm sure you or your parents will get calls from various companies selling credit card, financial products and all that. All these are promotion related activities. How do you get out the word that you are actually selling this service slash product and that you need to buy this product? So whatever channel the company uses to promote. For example, Netflix uses PR, which is public relations, very, very effectively. What we have realized is we can't put a lot of banners outside in the community, right? It's very, very expensive. And we are a very niche market, which is dialysis, which means people whose kidneys are failed. It's a very, very niche market. There's no point in putting large banners in the city to promote Netflix, because the cost of doing that promotion far outweighs the cost. Far outweighs the business that you get, because promotion needs to be very targeted. What we have figured out is, we have figured out an event for dialysis patients in every city. We call it Ashay. Ashay in Hindi means hope. So we do this event in every city where we invite in a targeted way the patients in that city. We are telling them we are giving you free injection, we will give you free bag to carry your files and other things. We will give you a pill box. So come and experience what the Ashay event is. So that is a very targeted event. It's only for the dialysis patients. And we advertise it with hospital dialysis units, either through the nephrologist or the technician and so on. If I put 10 banners on the Jubilee Hills main road, it doesn't matter. The cost of paying for the banners far outweighs the business that we are going to get out of it, because the market is very niche. If it's an Airtel, every potential person in this room is a customer for Airtel. That's why you see Airtel doing a lot of banners, lot of ads, events, everything, because every single person in this room or in the community is a potential customer for Airtel. So depending on where you focus, you need to figure out how you want to promote your business. Now, all I have given you is a 10,000 foot level summary, but I would be happy to answer any questions you have on marketing or any of these four things.
Sometimes does a promotion get annoying to the customers?
Annoying?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Too much of promotion, too much of jarring is annoying, and entrepreneurs have to figure out what is the right balance. For example,